Just 3 months before the midterm elections, President Joe Biden gives millions of student loan borrowers a big break. And is it time to start naming and shaming big water guzzlers? Just two of the topics for our political insiders this morning. Joining us are Lorna Romero Ferguson of Elevate Strategy. She's a former aide to Republican Governor Brewer and Senator John McCain. And Stacy Pearson of Lumen Strategies. She's worked with Democratic candidates and on several initiative campaigns, which will come in handy in just a moment. Welcome back to Square Off.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Good to see you. Let's start with President Biden. He's canceling up to $20,000 of federal student debt for millions of borrowers. Some borrowers will see their balance eliminated. The complicated plan, it is very complicated. Even the Biden administration acknowledges that. Will roll out over the next few months. A lot of ways to approach this, so I'll take the easy way. Winners, losers in this.
I think anyone with student loan debt is a winner on this. Any kid that was convinced by an entire generation that you just have to go to college and work hard and you're going to be fine is coming out ahead on this. It's a great start.
Point of personal privilege, you're talking about my generation.
I have a kid at ASU, so we're probably in the same boat.
I have a kid who's 4 years out of graduate school with a little bit of debt load. Lorna, winners, losers?
Losers is the taxpayer. I mean, this isn't free. Someone's going to have to pay for it. So yes, you know, the recent graduate who falls within, you know, the eligibility criteria, yes, might get some of their, you know, student debt wiped out, but someone's going to pay for that. And right now, the Biden administration can't even say how much this is going to cost. So at the end of the day, it's going to impact the economy and it's going to impact taxpayers.
What about the political side of this? There are also a lot of people saying this is illegal. Betsy DeVos, when she was education secretary, I think got an opinion saying this is illegal. Do you expect Republicans or Republican-backed groups to file a lawsuit just a few months before the election?
I definitely think you'll see outside groups file a lawsuit. I mean, there's an underlying question of, does this even fall within the powers of the presidency? I mean, this is a significant policy change. It should be something that's debated in the Congress, not the president just to do, you know, via executive fiat to decide we're just going to wipe away student loan debt. So I definitely think there will be a lawsuit. And I think at the end of the day, it's not going to benefit Democrats when people actually do the math and the analysis of how much of a negative impact it's going to have on the economy.
That is a complete false flag. So we know that students who are burdened with debt buy houses later, have children later, and there's no outrage about the fact that people with houses and kids get tax write-offs. They get to write off their interest, they get to write off their children, and there's no outrage right now in Arizona, or not enough outrage, for the fact that every kid now can get a $7,000 tuition voucher to go to the Catholic Church. So, and that's every year.
School, you mean a religious school.
To the religious.
Okay, so you're bringing that in.
A lot of connections there, Stacy.
No, I mean, we know that student loan debt is a generational curse. Like, it really is. And so $10,000 is a great start.
I think there's a fundamental issue of the cost of education, right? I mean, it's astronomical. I question all the time, why are students graduating from college with $200,000, $250,000 in debt and getting a $45,000 job after college? And so I think there needs to be a fundamental conversation of what does higher education look like? Talking about, you know, going to the state school is just fine. You know, you don't need to go to an Ivy League school if you can't afford it. Like, and why does it cost so much to educate a child these days? That's just mind-boggling to me. So I think that's the bigger issue versus eliminating student loan debt.
Yeah, and that's not addressed, and that's what I hear from my son. And what's astonishing is you see people commenting on this, and you learn their interest, the interest they will pay is double the cost of their education.
It's absurd. And Lorna and I agree on the cost of education. My daughter's at ASU. She has scholarships, and it's absurd. It is still absurd. It's more, we've paid more in room and board in a year and a half, and she's a journalism student. I failed as a parent, clearly.
A lot of well-paying jobs when she graduates.
But, I mean, what we've paid in 3 semesters is more than it cost for 4 years when I was there.
Okay, let's move on now to one of Arizona's great political traditions, citizens making laws at the ballot box. It's a very Western thing. It's how we legalized marijuana a few years ago. This November, voters will be asked to decide on about a dozen initiatives. You're the initiative expert. Full disclosure, do you work on any of them?
I do. I'm working on fair elections.
Give us a quick rundown of the dozen or so on the ballot. Some are citizen initiatives, some were referred by the legislature.
Oh, I mean, it runs the gamut from creating a lieutenant governor whose duties will be determined later, just figure that out. To requiring a 60-40 majority for initiatives, which is one that was referred by the legislature. Additional voter ID requirements for voting. Medical debt, being able, if you are in medical debt, being able to protect more of your assets from bankruptcy.
And lots of elections-related initiatives.
Lots of conflicting elections-related initiatives.
What do you make of what's on the ballot?
It's just a hodgepodge, and I think at the end of the day, it's just going to confuse voters. I mean, we're already dealing with a very, controversial gubernatorial race, U.S. Senate race, that is taking all of the oxygen out of the room. And then now you're going to have, 11 ballot measures that are very complicated on the ballot. Who knows how much information voters are actually going to get about these. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be very difficult for whoever is a proponent or an opponent of these measures to actually get their message across, because voters are just going to be inundated with information. So, I mean, I'm all about citizens' initiatives. I think the ballot, going to the ballot is great, but 11 at one time, I think it's going to be overwhelming for voters.
What do you think? You've got one initiative.
We do.
The free and fair elections, and as we record this, we don't know if it's going to be on the ballot, but that's really complicated.
It's all really complicated. For fair elections, it's going to come down to the fact that this prevents the legislature from overturning the results of a presidential election or auditing our ballots with ninjas in green t-shirts on spitty little tables. Like, this prevents that forever from happening.
But seriously, how do you break through unless you have a lot of money behind an initiative?
Honestly, money solves all problems. And so it's the
Sometimes.
ability.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily work all the case. But when you're dealing with a complicated issue and a controversial issue such as elections, given the current climate, and you have in this free and fair elections ballot measure, same-day voter registration, and items that especially Republicans are considering, that lead into voter fraud. I mean, it's just it's an incredible dynamic that they're just trying to make so many different changes at the ballot that would be dangerous to our election system.
Okay, can't have this discussion without saluting Terry Goddard, who after 4 tries, former Arizona Attorney General, got his initiative to get dark money out of elections on the ballot. Talk about perseverance. So, Terry Goddard,
Terry.
we salute you. Let's end with our water crisis. And is this a solution? Naming and shaming water guzzlers. Get this, the LA Times got hold of water use records showing Kim Kardashian, Dwayne Wade, Sylvester Stallone, and other celebs just blew past. They have limits on water use, unlike Arizona. Wade used almost 500,000 gallons in a month. The average Phoenix use is 35,000 gallons in a year. In Las Vegas, where they do report this stuff, because Vegas takes water a lot more seriously than Arizona does, it appears. David Copperfield, the magician, made 4 million gallons of water just disappear. Gone. 75 times the usage. Would water shaming work here in Arizona?
I hope so. I absolutely hope so. This is going to be the most important issue we're facing in the next 10, 20 years. So I really do hope so, from golf courses to individual users, absolutely.
So are you saying yes, put a directory out there that shows how much Stacy, Pearson, and Bram Resnick
and put the address so I can Google Earth it.
I think it's,
this is going to work real well.
It's important information. It really puts it into context because, I don't know how much water I consume on an annual basis, but seeing these astronomical numbers from celebrities and people who have giant properties while we're dealing with a water crisis in the West, it's important for us to know. Conservation is going to be a big part of this, and especially when we're all dealing with cutting back, especially the amount of water that we're going to be getting from the Colorado River. I think it's fantastic to be putting it out there how much water is being used by some of these large users.
You've heard the expression, whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting.
Sure,
right?
there is.
I see a lot of fights. Got to end it there. Lorna, Romero, Ferguson, Stacy, Pearson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.